Hey squad, it's your Squid. This is part 4 in a multi-part documentary reaction that I'm doing. So if it's the first one you've stumbled across, go and click into my Motorsport playlist. You'll find part 1, then you can watch part 2, then part 3, and come back here and we'll meet up again and we can keep watching part 4. These guys are my patrons. They're awesome. They make all this sort of stuff possible. Please consider becoming one of them. But yeah, let's play the title and get back into it, shall we? As always, guys, thanks for coming on this ride with me, and thanks for going on the up and down roller coaster of emotions this documentary's been. Let's give it a crack, all right? This should be the second last video.
I've been very fortunate to have some great car owners through the years. Two, especially, that are here tonight, which are my parents. They're the ones that had to sacrifice so much to get me to this point in my career.
Nice.
Thank you, and I love you, Mom and Dad.
And he said, I'd rather
That's
be doing
cute.
this than anything else in the whole world. And if I die doing this, Mom, this is what I want to do.
Right.
And was the last time I talked to him. And, you know, he said,
Oh, fuck.
I'll call you after qualification.
Fuck, man. That's rough.
11:23 a.m. Just 8 minutes into the first practice, and during his first timed lap, Kenny Irwin Jr. slams the turn 3 wall nearly head-on. This time the car ramps onto the driver's side, slides for nearly the entire distance of turns 3 and 4, and rolls to a stop on its roof. Brett Bodine, who was following Irwin into the corner, calls it one of the worst accidents he's ever seen. When track medical staff reach the scene, Irwin is unresponsive. There's blood on his uniform. He's pulled out in 10 minutes, rushed to the infield care center, then transported to Concord Hospital.
Fucking
At
hell.
2:14 p.m., the worst fears are realized. For the second time in 56 days, a driver has been killed in New Hampshire. And for the first time since Rodney Orr's practice crash at Daytona in 1994, it's a Cup driver. Irwin was just 30 years old.
Fuck, he's 30.
The cause of death is printed as a crushed skull.
I'm not
but
even
is later
30.
clarified as a basilar skull fracture, the same as Adam Petty's. As with Petty, the cause of the accident remains unknown.
Like, I'm gonna be
Robert
shortly,
Fisk,
but
Loudon's
like...
police
Oh, man.
chief says NASCAR
Talk about being cut down in your prime.
skull fracture, the same as Adam Petty's. As with Petty, the cause of the accident remains unknown. Robert Fisk, Loudon's police chief, says NASCAR contacted his department 2 hours after the crash, too late to do a proper investigation. Since practice restarts just 30 minutes after the accident, they can't even determine whether the wreck happened before or after Irwin started to turn. Stuck
Fuck.
throttle is again believed to be the cause. As with Adam Petty, the number 42 team loads up and leaves the track. Sometime later, Felix Sabates will have the car destroyed to deter souvenir hunters. The rest of the day's activities go on as scheduled.
I just don't know
Wow.
what to say except it's just super tragic. It's horrible. It's terrible. It's something I hope.
Wait. There are
I
people who
can't do it.
collect dead NASCAR drivers' cars that they die. That's fucked up. I'd destroy it
Friends
too.
ever have to go through.
Fucking hell.
Everything else kind of really seemed to matter. You know, it's just very unfortunate. Just glad to be able to
Dale Jarrett looks like Dale Earnhardt without a mustache.
say that friends ever have to go through. Makes everything else kind of really seem to matter. You know, it's just very unfortunate. Just glad to be able to say that I knew him as a teammate, but more than anything else, he was a friend, and we've always
Wow.
been good friends. They need to do something. I mean, whatever it is. I mean, these modifieds got a kill switch on these things when something hangs up on them. You're just going too fast here in straightaways, and there's no. Your head can only take so much. Why can't we do something about this? Why can't we do something with the cars when these throttles hang, or if it was a throttle hung, it looks like... Why can't we do something about the racetrack? Why can't we do something? You know, this stuff happens for reasons. We need to learn from it.
Just 1 day later, in the Truck Series race, Dennis Setzer enters the third turn.
For sixth place to the Hensley number 16.
Fuck, he hit hard.
If he lost the brakes or what happened, but boy, he did go hard.
Oh, and then he got collected too.
Cap Sprague, number 24 on fire.
Setzer walks away. 9 months
That's
earlier,
good.
Irwin was involved in this famous altercation with Tony Stewart, his old rival in USAC. After Irwin's death, it is Stewart who offers to fly Irwin's family and coach driver on his private jet.
Oh, wow.
It is Stewart who wins the somber race
Props.
on Sunday, which is shortened by 27 laps due to rain. And it is Stewart who then gives that trophy to Irwin's family.
I raced with Kenny for 9 years, and you know, ever since I moved down on 3/4 midgets into full midgets, he was the guy I had to race hard each week, and if I wanted to win a race, he was the guy I had to beat each week. So, you know, it's just one of those weird things. I mean, ever since we moved into Winston Cup, I mean, every time I get a practice sheet, the first thing I do is look to see where he is and look to see where Bobby Labonte is. So, it's just hard. I mean, he was a great racer. I mean, in the 21 years I've raced, there was nobody tougher than he was. I mean, it didn't matter whether it was a midget on dirt or a Silver Crown car or a sprint car on pavement. It didn't matter. He was a contender to win every week. And you know, I heard a quote yesterday. People thought that they hadn't seen the best of Kenny Irwin in a Winston Cup car. I agree.
Teams can't wait to leave New Hampshire.
I have a lot of respect for Tony Stewart. I watched a video of his earlier today that I have recorded. As yet, I haven't edited and uploaded it, but by the time you see it, it will already be uploaded. Go and check it out. Let me know what you think. But yeah, I like him. I reckon he's...
After that rainy day,
like, that comment is much respect.
They will all be back just 2 months later for another 300-mile race. Figuring out what has happened and what could or would be done becomes a new priority. Were these two accidents simply a tragic coincidence, or was something else happening?
NASCAR is more like a community, and if a citizen of a community passes away, the community still has to go on. The lights have to work, and the water has to run, and life has to go on. And your heart's not in it 100% necessarily, but it has to go on. And that's the way we look at our schedules. And it could have been that we didn't press on yesterday, but I don't know that would have made it any better. I think a lot of people, for the most part, just soon stay busy. But our
absolutely.
Procedures are to press on, and in cases like this, so it's not because we don't have a heart or a soul. It's simply because that we have a lot of responsibility. Everybody does in the garage areas to a lot of different people, and the biggest thing is that that's what we do. We race, and that's what Kenny did. He races, and that's what Adam did. He races, and that's what we do. And it's a matter of I think in some people's mind, it's what's necessary is to press on.
I think probably the fan, the guy at home watching this on TV, or they heard about what happened here with Kenny. I'm sure he's sitting there saying, how can those guys, how can they go back out there and act like nothing happened? How do they do that? And trust me, in this garage area Friday, people were walking around looking at each other like, how can we do this? How can we keep going? You know, Kenny was a great kid, and we all loved him. And you know, I felt really awkward getting in my car and going out on the track because a kid had just lost his life in that corner over there. I had to drive down that straightaway right into that same corner. Man, I'm checking my throttle, I'm checking my brakes, I'm checking my brain. What am I doing here? We have to learn from this. Let's don't sweep it under the rug and forget about it. Let's learn from it. Let's move forward. I'm not pointing a finger at anybody. Let's look at the racetrack. You know, that's two times right in the same spot. Let's look at the racetrack. Let's be objective about it. Let's don't just let it go and say, oh, it's one of those things. Let's make some. Let's do something with it.
People dying shouldn't be one of those things.
Respect for Adam Petty and Kenny Irwin, that we're going to make some changes. We're going to look at this a little differently, and we're going to try to prevent it from happening again. From an old guy that's been in the sport for 30 years, that would give me some comfort. We're taking this thing.
So you got like a campaign at this point. Something needs to fucking give. Something needs to change. Things need to be different from season campaigners in the sport, like the World Trips. You got the Petties. You've got like the big names in the sport are going, something needs to give, something needs to change. Evidently, NASCAR aren't changing anything yet. And it looks like, it's going to take the greatest driver, potentially of all time, dying before they do. But...
And we're not just avoiding
fucking hell, eh? Fucking hell.
Hoping it'll go away. But we're saying, okay, we had a problem there, and we fixed it. That would give me a lot more confidence in the track and NASCAR and everybody involved. It'd give me a lot more respect for everybody involved if it was handled just like an airplane crash. Take the car, a panel of experts puts it back together. Here's what happened. The throttle hung in the floor mat, or the throttle hung in the firewall, or the throttle hung under the air cleaner. But something happened, and the throttle hung. There's plenty of people who saw it. So don't tell me, well, we don't know what happened.
Ward Burton puts it succinctly.
Powerful.
It means there's a problem, he says. It needs to be addressed. On July 10th, NASCAR historian Bob Latford weighs in on if NASCAR has become too dangerous. If you just took one lap at each of the 188 tracks that Winston Cup has raced at over 52 years and make it one piece of highway, he says, I doubt that...
Oh, shut up, dickhead. That's not even remotely the fucking point.
2 fatalities over the same amount of time.
Fuck me.
2 days later, on July 12th, services are held for Irwin at the Abundant Life Church in Indianapolis. At least 500 people attend, including IMS President Tony George. Dozens of red roses adorn the casket.
It's only 2 people
Peter
dying.
Bosworth, Irwin's priest,
you're a professional sport cunt. It should be 0.
You know what? I'd drive for free, he told him. I'd race for free. That's my passion. That's my passion. Still, the season pushes forward. One day after the services on July 13th, Truck Series driver Jamie McMurray parts ways with MB Motorsports, owned by Missouri native Mike Midler. Midler's team had been around since the start of the series in 1995. That year gave Tony Roper his first 2 starts in the series at Milwaukee and Martinsville. With McMurray's departure comes an opportunity for the 2 to reunite. Roper accepts. His first start back with the team will be next month at Indianapolis Raceway Park, site of his career-best runner-up finish 2 years earlier. Other planned races are Chicago, Richmond, Nashville, and Texas. 3 days after the Midler deal, Kyle Petty finishes 5th at Nazareth, which turns out to be the best run of the season for Adams
Nazareth.
Car. The team will skip the next race in Pikes Peak and run the remainder of the season.
And a quick word from Kyle Petty. You finished 5th, but from the reaction down here, you won.
No, I tell you what, it was a great day for the Sprint PCS car, and Chris Huzzy made a phenomenal call that got us up front, like I said. I just had no practice on the racetrack. Like the Tour of Law down in hard time, it took me 50 laps to get used to it. And, they made a great call, took a 10th place or 15th place driver and a 1st place car, and we run 5th with it. And I'm just...
Listen to him throwing shade at himself.
Adam came here and run 4th last year, and I always said he had more talent in his little finger than I've got in my whole body, and I guess that shows it. And just to come here and be able to do some of the stuff he done, I'm pretty proud of these guys, and this thing got.
The next day, Team Sabco announces a permanent number change to their Bell South team from 42 to 01.
Cool.
The paint scheme is also changed, so the distinctive neon green added to Irwin's car is nowhere on it, perhaps due to the long-standing superstition behind the color. Since most drivers are under contract, the team's driver selection comes down to Todd Bodine and Ted Musgrave. Since Bodine is running the Busch race in Pikes Peak, they picked Musgrave.
What's the superstition with green? Someone let me know in the comments.
Irwin's former teammate will take over the rest of Irwin's 4 remaining scheduled Busch Series starts, starting the next month in Bristol. Like Musgrave, Marlin will also run the number 01. Musgrave's first start comes at Pocono, where he runs 16th. That same day,
oh, that's not good. Once again, same fucking thing.
Tire went down or something because he has hit the outside wall hard. And it started way back up on the straightaway. I'm looking at the black marks. You can see his right front is not moving at all. The whole right side of that car caved in. Yeah, I'm in pretty good shape. Just got to knock me silly for a second. Hit that wall pretty good down there. Blew a right front tire. Not sure exactly what happened, but got a right front tire. Blew something on the right front. I had it right about time to get ready to turn down in the corner. And all they had time to do is grab some brakes, and that was it.
On August 1st, after nearly a month of silence, NASCAR issues a technical bulletin to all teams, mandating 2 changes to the cars. The first mandates an independent travel stop to keep the throttle plates from opening beyond a vertical position. The second is, in effect, a cutoff switch, a button the driver can press to disconnect power to the ignition system. As it happens, the cars already have such switches, but in each case they have been placed out of the driver's reach. The new regulation requires they be within reach of the driver's thumb, allowing it to be hit at a moment's notice. Both changes go into effect for the upcoming Brickyard 400.
One of those things that seems like common sense in hindsight.
Tony Roper makes his first Truck Series start of the season at IRP. He finishes 30th in Midler's number 26 Ford. The next day, the company Downing Atlanta reports sales figures of their new head and neck restraint device, or HANS device, which has been getting more attention since Adam Petty's wreck in May. Since introducing a new and improved version of the device in late June, Downing Atlanta has sold 35 with another 44 on order.
It's not a lot.
NASCAR's Gary Nelson says he's not ready to make the device mandatory, even though CART and Formula One already have for 2001. Part of the reason may be that Bill Simpson is announcing a cheaper alternative to the Hans.
Fuck, of course he is.
Despite NASCAR's
Money.
inaction, both Ford and General Motors are strongly encouraging...
How did I not guess that money would be the fucking root cause of the issue?
That same day, after months of speculation, Felix Sabates finally announces Chip Ganassi will partner with him in 2001, forming a new two-car team running Dodges, Chip Ganassi Racing with Felix Sabates.
That's cool.
August 5th, the Brickyard 400, held in Kenny Irwin Jr.'s hometown, is run on what would have been Irwin's 31st birthday.
Fucking
He was
rough.
here 3 years ago. He was announced as Robert Yates' new driver. Here 1 year ago that he all but knew he was out of that car. And here today, the race is dedicated in his honor.
31 years ago today, a boy was born on the east side of Indianapolis in the shadow of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. As he grew, so did his passion for racing.
That's dope.
Will be shown in 4 spots, and as a young man, he distinguished himself with his racing accomplishments. Ladies and gentlemen, the 7th running of the Brickyard 400 is dedicated to the memory of Kenny Irwin Jr.
Sad, but poignant, I guess.
At 11 a.m. local time, balloons are released at the track. An hour later, more balloons fly near Team Sabco's offices in Mooresville.
Nice.
The Mooresville tribute is arranged by Debbie Musgrave, wife of Ted, Irwin's replacement. In the race itself, 2 drivers aren't in the field because of injuries. Terry Labonte briefly lost consciousness in this crash at Daytona a month earlier, then wrecked hard again at Loudon. This ends Labonte's Ironman streak at 655 straight starts. Also missing is Jeremy Mayfield, who is hurt in a crash during practice. His relief driver is Kyle Petty. At a crossroads both professionally and personally, Petty will hand over driving duties of the number 44 after Bristol to focus on Adams' Busch Series car. Steve Grissom will drive once again, but in the final 11 races will fail to qualify 7 times.
Wow.
On
All right.
August 12th, Tony Roper makes his second truck start at the Nashville Fairgrounds, besting 11 other drivers who failed to qualify. He finishes in last place, out with engine failure. He doesn't attempt the next race at Chicago Motor Speedway, which happens to see NASCAR's first live test of the new cutoff switch. On lap 124, Rob Morgan's throttle sticks heading into turn 1. Morgan hits the button, cutting power to the motor and avoiding a hit to the outside wall.
Nice.
He recovers to finish 23rd. 3 days later, Kyle Petty presents a check for $10,045 to the Brenner Children's Hospital in Winston-Salem. Jayski reports that some kind of foundation in Adams' memory is in the planning stages.
Nice.
September 2nd, Irwin is inducted into the Darlington Record Club for being the defending pole sitter of the upcoming Southern 500. With 13 days until opening practice for the next Cup Series race at New Hampshire, Jeff Gordon, Dale Jarrett, and Rusty Wallace are insisting softwall barriers must be added to the turns before they race there. NASCAR's Mike Helton disagrees. Helton instead considers a change to the cars. He and his team consider possible aerodynamic changes and dropping the maximum cubic inch limit from 355 to around 300.
Have a look at that fucking wing.
All this comes amidst a possible change in management at NASCAR as Jim France is rumored to take
or whatever
the place
you
of
call
Bill
it.
France Jr. The next day, there's a rumor of a possible driver's strike at New Hampshire, which would be the first since the inaugural Talladega race in 1969.
Driver's strike,
Bobby
all right.
Labonte, the series point leader, says he'll race whether changes are made or not, but also says he's not happy about it. September 8th, 1 week until New Hampshire, and 1 day after Roper finishes 21st in the Truck Series race at Richmond. NASCAR approves a live test of an automatic version of the cutoff switch. Called a dumb...
I think I said Dale Earnhardt Sr., and I think I've been presuming that it's going to be Dale Earnhardt Sr., but it's not. It's this Roper bloke, obviously. I'm an idiot. I apologise. But yeah,
switch. The system developed by Jack Roush uses sensors to automatically shut off the engine, where the device detects 850 to 900 pounds of brake pressure while the throttle is at or nearly full open. 6 teams are slated to run it, but all are concerned after Bobby Labonte's car is found to have a faulty sensor. At the same time, a new rumor begins that NASCAR is planning on instituting restrictor plates in New Hampshire, and the teams are already preparing their engines for next week. During the weekend's racing at Richmond, Elliott Sadler runs a plate during practice. It costs him 1 second a lap. 2 days later and 5 days before practice, NASCAR confirms they will mandate restrictor plates for the following week's race in Loudon. Not only will they be mandated for Cup, but also the Busch North Series race held the day before. And before each practice...
So we won't mandate the things that literally would have saved the lives of the last 2 people that died, but we'll mandate restrictor plate... Okay, I'm confused,
also
but...
take so-called pre-practice laps behind
that's where that is, I guess.
to ensure proper brake temperature. There's one big catch, however. NASCAR won't allow any testing at Loudon prior to the race. Steve Park, Dale Jr., and Jeff Burton tested Milwaukee. Dale Earnhardt tested Greenville Pickens.
Still doesn't make sense to me.
Test for Busch Series driver Kevin Harvick. Around this time, Earnhardt speaks out about the lingering controversies during a rare interview by his hauler. His quotes are in 2 articles in the September 14th issue of NASCAR Scene. He first agrees that NASCAR had to do something, but takes issue with what he perceived to be unproductive negativity. He also disagrees that the oval in New Hampshire is particularly unsafe. It's not a totally safe situation anywhere you race, he says. I accepted that when I came into racing.
Yeah, fair enough, but you
Earnhardt
can limit the
offers
risks.
a theory of his own for what caused the 2 fatalities.
Like,
during a
there's a difference between a hazard and a risk, you know? Like,
Dave Marcus about why they wear open-face helmets. The 2 not only insist their helmets are safer, but that full-face helmets are dangerous. Why aren't they safe? Asked Earnhardt of the full-faced helmets. Because you slam your face into them, says Marcus. And what does it do to the back of your neck when you hit? You break it right here, says Marcus, pointing to the base of his neck. That leverage point is there, and your head keeps going. Something's got to bust back there. Then Earnhardt says, it's like somebody puts a noose around your neck and throws you off the gallows.
Fucking hell.
It's true that Earnhardt never uses the Hans device. This last quote will be attributed incorrectly to Earnhardt's mistrust of it. Marcus is likewise not against advances in safety. Just over a year earlier, he survives this brutal crash in Pocono, thanks to a special shoulder strap attached to his helmet. Pioneered by fellow driver Phil Barkdahl, the horse collar style device has since been adopted by ARCA.
One track, 2 eerily similar...
Alright, we're going to pause that there. And that's the end of part 4. And we're going to dive straight into part 5 and watch the rest of the documentary together. But yeah, these guys are my patrons. Please consider becoming one of my patrons. The link is in the description. You could also buy some merch. There's a link in the description for that as well, if you're not down for monthly recurring payments and all that jazz. But if this is the first time you've stumbled across me, I don't know why you watched part 4 before anything else, but, you know, you do you, boo, that's all good. Please hit the subscribe button while you're there. I'm trying to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of 2020. Can't do it without people like you who stumble across my content, decide they like me, then hit the subscribe button. And yeah, if you could hit the like button as well to get this video out there, that would be dope. I'm going to get on with it and move straight on into part 5. So I'll see you guys when I look out. You'll see me when you look at me. Thanks for watching.